Freedom to criticize, make your opinions heard, even if you sound absurd. Review anything, no matter what it is.
Hello chums, and welcome to Review Anything. I'm your host, Sour Apple, and today we're having a sleepover party with our special guest, Pomegranate. Let's hit the review generator and see what we're analysing today, shall we? No! No!
Come on, Sour, get up. You've got to review this U.B.O.S thing. It can't be that bad.
This cartoon was so painful to watch, Pamela.
It really can't be as awful as you say it is.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm going to make you watch every episode that I've seen of U.B.O.S. And that's U.B.O.S.
It was just a Harry Potter ripoff.
I take it that you're a Harry Potter fan.
Yes.
U.B.O.S is a Canadian animated series about 3 children at a school for witches and wizards that are up against an evil sorcerer called Zarlak.
It's a direct copy of Harry Potter.
There's a little twist though. The 3 children are joined by a magical book called U.B.O.S, Ultimate Book of Spells.
But it totally rips off Harry Potter, and it's just so crap.
Right. I will give you a chance at the end of the show to complain about how many things that U.B.O.S robs from Harry Potter, okay?
Okay.
Right.
The series opens with a focus on a boy named Vern, a mortal child that has become a student at a hidden academy that teaches magic. Vern meets a 3rd-year student witch called Cassie and a 2nd-year student called Gus, who happens to be half-elf. On the same day as Vern's arrival, Cassie is gifted with a magic book called U.B.O.S to help her take on an evil wizard called Zarlak, who is trapped in the center of the earth. Every episode involves the kids having to stop Zarlak from causing trouble from his underground lair. You see, Zarlak needs the magic book to escape from the Earth's center because U.B.O.S can travel to any place or any time at all. So most of Zarlak's plans are actually ways of getting hold of U.B.O.S the magic book.
So, that's the premise for U.B.O.S. Let's first look at the pros of U.B.O.S.
Pros? You're actually giving U.B.O.S the honor of having a list of pros?
Here's a cookie, Pamela. Shut up. You'll have your say at the end of the show.
The first pro has to be that despite the show's lack of originality, there's a lot of unique effort put towards 2 things. First, the teachers at the school. A wide variety of unusual creatures teach at the school, and my favourite has to be a sports coach that's half zebra. I burst out laughing when I saw this. Why a zebra? Secondly, the centre of the earth has many levels, and each level has its own unique style. The second pro would have to be the character of U.B.O.S. Despite showing a scarily violent side in the first episode, U.B.O.S is actually very charming, and his voice reminds me of the Mexican actor Ricardo Montalban. U.B.O.S is often pushed and pulled around in stories, but serves as a teacher for the children, as well as their means of travel. He is stern with the kids and gives them helpful advice. It's also fun to see him fall apart. He'll often go balmy or stupid if he loses his pages or gets sick. My favourite moment was when he lost his logic, which is represented as a bright orb. He sort of mutates and talks a bunch of gibberish.
Oops, I'm spilling my spells. Oh, chapter and verse getting worse. There's no fool like an old folio. I've got volumes of them. Oompa, oompa, oompa. Ooh-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Another interesting thing about U.B.O.S is that it's revealed that he was once actually the great and powerful wizard that trapped Zarlak in the Earth Center in the first place. The third pro has to be that the headmistress of the school is actually mildly enjoyable. A jolly plump woman that can turn into a cat. She's caring and encourages her students to embrace the art of comedy. The fourth pro has to be that there are some episodes that I did actually enjoy.
What?
Yes, I actually liked some of the episodes. Sure, most of them are quite dire, but some of them actually stand out.
In one episode, Zarlak gets a minion that isn't working for him out of loyalty, but out of fear for the safety of his family. This minion is a shadow goblin with a sinister, piercing voice. Yet, despite these traits of villain aesthetics, I felt sympathy for him because he was only serving Zarlak to protect his family. I liked this concept. Another episode really builds up the mystery of some strange changes in the world and why the mortals are acting really odd. I felt very intrigued to know what on earth was going on. It's later revealed that Zarlak has taken away the sharpness of everything, so everyone and everything has been left blunt. This is somewhat clever, but also kind of silly. However, it leads to a great climax where Zarlak now has sharp, dangerous weapons as his attacks, and a giant spike monster at his command. There's also a reasonably good episode full of creatures that are actually original and interestingly designed. These fire beings that survive on being at a high temperature. The beings are made to serve Zarlak in his plan to freeze the Earth's moon to create an eternal eclipse.
However, the best episode, in my opinion, has to be the one that really stands out from all the crap. Mind you, that's like pointing out the nut in the middle of a turd.
The episode has a heavy focus on the subject of techno-magic, a form of magic that relies on machinery and technology. Zarlak gives Vern the chance to embrace his dark side and become the ultimate techno-magician. He takes on a new kick-ass appearance that's perhaps the best artistic effort in the show. Zarlak then helps Cassie embrace her dark side as she is gifted with the powers of an ultimate sorceress. It's up to Gus to stop them both as a surprisingly exciting battle takes place.
Okay, so those were the pros of U.B.O.S. Let's now look at the cons.
Finally!
Where on earth do I begin with the cons? I know I just complimented certain things about this cartoon, but I seriously found the most of it to be very hard to sit through. First of all, the characters. I hate them. I hate them so much. Vern is a whiny, cynical, and self-sympathetic boy that everyone praises as gifted, even though he's always screwing up spells and never shows any talent traits. So he's almost a Mary Sue. Gus is a cocky half-elf that's always praising himself and has a prejudice against anything that isn't an elf. He's a self-absorbed prick with nothing interesting about him. Cassie is perhaps the least unlikable because she's at least interesting. She's very sensitive and does show a strong determination to become the ultimate sorceress. There's even an episode where Cassie is told about a magical item that can turn her into an ultimate sorceress, and it shows how she'll risk even her friendship with Gus and Vern to get hold of the magic item. May I also remind my viewers that she fully embraced her dark powers once Zarlak made her into an ultimate sorceress. So yes, she has the most interesting dark side out of the three characters. It's also revealed that U.B.O.S is actually Cassie's great-great-grandfather. Despite these interesting character details though, Cassie is too whiny and has a horrible temper. She snaps too easily and can often be just as self-indulgent as Gus, so I find her very difficult to like. How can I be engaged in a fantasy adventure series if the heroes are so bitter and arrogant? Another con has to be how there's a huge lack of creative originality in terms of unique fantasy creatures. It's mainly just the traditional fairy tale characters like leprechauns, gnomes, and gremlins. Except for the shadow goblins, fire people, and some wishing creatures called charmlings, the show seems to heavily rely on archetypal creatures, and I found this to be very juvenile and lazy for a fantasy series. I actually wish that there were more original and unique creatures like the fire people and the shadow goblins. My next con with the show has to be the animation. I found the animation in U.B.O.S to be distractingly poor. The eyes in particular bother me. They seem so distant, unfocused, and almost empty. The mouth movement can get annoying too. You know what? I think the animation reminds me of interactive CD-ROM games for Windows 95 or 98. It's so stale, and I'm often unsure about the face that the characters are supposed to be expressing. Another con is how inconsistent things can get in the show. There are common plot holes. For example, Vern first meets the headmistress of the school in the first episode, but the writers ditch this fact by revealing that he met her back in his home, before he even started coming to the school.
Another example would be how the wizards and witches apparently need their wands to perform spells. They make a big deal about this, yet some episodes actually show them performing spells without wands.
They can't just change the rules at a whim.
Oh, but they do. They do.
In episode 1, it's stated that Vern is a first-year student, Gus is a second-year student, and Cassie is a third-year student. So why do they share the same class? It's never explained why. Another con, to me, would be the concept of the scoot zoomers, these mechanical contraptions that students use to fly on, despite the fact that flying brooms exist on the show. Scoot zoomers just seem an out-of-place choice as a replacement for magic brooms. They seem fitting for a sci-fi series set in the future, but they just don't fit in a fantasy universe. There's also no explanation for them either. Are they machines? Well, if that's the case, then why does the show complain about techno-magic being such a flawed thing, if the characters use scoot zoomers? Are they organisms? Are they alive? That would be interesting if they explained that. What are they? Maybe it's explained in a later episode, I don't know, because I couldn't really find the last 3 episodes, unfortunately. So if anyone knows if there was an explanation for these things, please comment below, I'd be interested to know. One episode has the headmistress saying that Vern must be able to pass his scoot zooming lesson, or he'll be kicked out of school. Yet episodes before have clearly shown Vern casually being able to fly a scoot zoomer, and no one has stopped him. If he could fly a scoot zoomer in the first place, then why did he need a scoot zooming test? Even if Vern's scoot zooming was poor, then why should the head teacher make a big deal about it at such a late stage? Why couldn't she have just given him scoot zooming lessons and tests before accepting him into the school if scoot zooming is that important at a school for wizards and witches? The character of Zarlak is a con to me. His motive may be clear and I kind of like his malevolent dialogue, but he's just so boring. There's nothing really to him, he's just your archetypal evil villain. Sometimes his plans are clever, but most of his plans are ridiculously stupid, and he spends most of his time trying to make Gus, Vern, and Cassie fall out with each other. He's like a bitchy high school girl, so he doesn't seem that threatening.
Like, oh my god, Vern stole my boyfriend.
Sarlacc's minions, a pair of stupid little dragons that combine into a giant double-headed dragon, can become so annoying, with voices that grate into my skull. There's another antagonist in the show in the form of a pair of twins, but they're a bit dull too. They're just, well, mean. That's about it. They're so forgettable.
So, those were the cons of U.B.O.S, in my opinion.
You forgot the biggest con of all. It's a Harry Potter ripoff!
Shh. Be patient, Pomela.
U.B.O.S has to be one of the most painfully worst cartoons I have ever seen. Sure, there are things that I liked about it, but at the end of the day, I found it hard to watch the series as I found it to be cringe-worthingly terrible. Watching U.B.O.S felt like a burden more than anything.
Okay, now you can talk about the similarities between U.B.O.S and Harry Potter, Pomela.
Oh, yay.
What? Whoa!
Ahem. The fact that the show centers around 3 children mirrors Ron, Harry, and Hermione. The show has the nerves to feature talking paintings. The headmistress can turn it into a cat, just like Professor McGonagall. And one character is even a redhead, like Ron Weasley.
I think you're being a bit nitpicky there, though. I mean, it's more like Ron is ginger.
You said it was my turn to talk, so shush. And the insult for humans is Morty Muds, just like Mudbuds. And U.B.O.S features a sport that involves flying, just like Quidditch.
Have you finished?
You could consider the similarities between Potter and U.B.O.S to be a coincidence, but U.B.O.S was made in 2001, the same year that the first Harry Potter film was made, and when over 4 Harry Potter books were already published. It just makes it easy to imagine that the creators were just cashing in on the current craze at the time.
Exactly. Now I'm tired. Let's go to sleep.
Yes, let's. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, and please check out my other reviews. Good night, chums.